As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff Iafrate and Booner. It's Monday, December 22nd. We are back to recap a Detroit Lions devastating loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dan spoke today. We're going to have Kory Woods join the show today. So many things to talk about and not enough time to do it. This is Christmas week too, man. You got holidays here. You got Christmas Eve, Christmas. Our schedule is live. We'll be live tonight, 8 to 10 p.m. Tomorrow morning, 9 to 11 a.m., 9 to 11 a.m. Wednesday, we have off. Thursday, we have our game day programming, which will be live for the game. Obviously, you guys know how that works. And after the game. And then Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. So that's the schedule this week. And we're going to have
It's on our Twitter as well if you're looking. Should be a fun week. I mean, it should be a really fun week.
How do you feel today? Just like day removed? Because I know yesterday we were, it's different, obviously, the day of, but.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not – see, the problem, like, yesterday there was very emotional – it was very, like, an emotional – I would say 7, 8 hours. I'm gonna switch that 7, 8 hours, like from the start of the game to the end of the game to after. Like I was on Twitter firing off. Crunch time, we were firing off. Like there was a lot of emotions. I think a lot of Lions fans had a lot to say. We're about 24 hours removed from that, Jeff. And I'll tell you what, I feel like it's like a day. Once you get a day into it, you start to get a little bit of a feeling more so like, okay, this is like, okay, now that emotions aren't flying as high. I still get the same feelings as I did yesterday, a day ago. Like disappointment. Like I don't know how many. Like I just keep going back to like Jared Goff last week, being like he's pissed off that the fans weren't confident in this team, and like my comments last night, like I'm pissed off that this team's as bad as they are with the the roster that they have. Like it's a disappointing season, and I understand a lot of these guys, like they were in the media today and last night. Obviously, like as players, like you still have an opportunity to make the playoffs, even if it's 2%, you're still going to be putting that out there and throwing that hope out there. So I understand why they were saying things like that, but the season's essentially it's chalked up in my opinion, and I think it's one of the more disappointing seasons. We've had a lot of disappointing seasons in Detroit. But when you talk expectations to reality of what actually happened, I think it's one of the more disappointing seasons in my lifetime that we've had. And I mean, we've gone through 0-16. That was disappointing. But at least in those years, you knew they were not going to be great. You know what I mean? There was no expectations of winning a Super Bowl. This year, it was the complete opposite. It was, hey, this might be the best team in the league. And they didn't just fall short. They were running a marathon and they quit at the 13-mile mark. That's what it felt like. You know what I mean? Like it was just like you fell that short this year. So yeah, I'm feeling disappointed, man. Very disappointed.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with that because you've whether people want to sit here and say, well, this is the best thing. At least this regime is the best thing I've witnessed in my lifetime. Yeah, that can be true. But what could also be true is you've never had legitimate Super Bowl expectations. We're talking about a team that made the NFC Championship game 2 years ago to the following season not winning a playoff game when you were hosting a playoff game as the number one seed. And then the following year, you're probably going to miss the playoffs. Like, look at that 3-year stretch just as a franchise. I mean, it feels like you're going backwards.
Yeah.
There's so many people to point the finger at. And, today we'll talk about all the different angles to it. Dan Campbell spoke to the media today. And, it's underachieving at a massive level. I mean, it just is. I mean, you look around the league, the NFL is so weird this year with teams that are, performing over expectations like the Bears or the Jags. But then you have teams that, aren't quite what they were, like the Chiefs, which they've been in multiple Super Bowls, have won multiple Super Bowls. But then you have the Bills that are hanging in there. It's just a weird year. The Rams are, I think, still the number one team in the NFC. But Patriots are the number 1 seed potentially in the AFC with the Broncos. Like, it's just a weird year. And you kind of looked at this Lions team as, man, they really had a chance this year to go out there and make some noise, in kind of a wide open NFL. And again, we've had this conversation so much when it comes to Brad Holmes, man. Like, this is how the NFL works every year. Every other, you really don't know what to expect, but you always want to be ready because there could be a year where, boom, it's wide open. Guys go down. Patrick Mahomes gets injured. Not that you're rooting for injuries, but things kind of happen to certain teams, and you're like,
you just never know in the NFL.
You just never know.
At the end of the day.
You stay ready, and on top of that, you never quit your chase for a Super Bowl. You don't get complacent. You don't sit there and say, you know what, I'm just going to chill at the deadline. I'm just going to chill in free agency. I just want to grow this team through the draft and develop. Because you blinked, you missed your opportunity, and it feels like the Lions kind of have been doing that lately, whether it's, you lose your assistant coaches, you hire new ones. It hasn't really worked out so far, or Brad just not being aggressive.
Yeah.
It's just not fixing your O-line. Anyway, go continue.
I would say, I go back, dude. I know you remember this very vividly. I go back, I know that 2 years ago when you go to the NFC Championship game, and a lot of people are like, I wish you would have made a move, Brad, at the deadline, which hindsight, you do. And that year you weren't really a Super Bowl favorite. It didn't feel like one of those all-in years. I know you wanted an edge. The heavies, everyone wanted an edge, right? And to me, I was just like, it never was like, they never showed that, hey, this was a Super Bowl year. But they go to the NFC Championship game, and me and you remember this. I remember where we were when we had this conversation and everything. When Dan Campbell goes to the post game and goes to the press conference after losing to the 49ers, and just kind of straight up. And I didn't take it seriously. You took it seriously. Some Lions fans, the majority of Lions fans didn't take it seriously when Dan Campbell told the whole city of Detroit, I don't know if we're going to be back here. It's hard to get back here. And that's how, in those moments, that's why there's a side of me that respects Dan Campbell, because he understands in this league how hard it is to do this and how hard it is to be successful and win. And I think Lions fans and fans in general sometimes make it sound so easy, and they're quick to kind of go at GMs and coaches at fire. But especially with GMs and head coaches, man, it is hard to get there, right? To where the NFC Championship game. And that's where a year like last year, when you do have those injuries and you have opportunities to go all in, and not even just this last year, but I'm talking about this off season, Jeff, with Brad Holmes, when you have opportunities to go out and get new players and add new pieces and build up a defense and get more depth and make sure your offensive line is good. You just don't have what's the word I'm looking for? You just don't have the luxury to sit back in an off season and be like, hey, we're just going to take a year to rebuild our O-line and we'll be back. You don't have that luxury, man. You don't. Yeah. You don't. And I think it's proven to where I think Brad, in the back of his mind, he thought, to be quite frank, we could slide by with the O-line that we have, a young O-line building, a D-line that doesn't have depth and we didn't really add to it. We could slide by for a year, make the playoffs, try and make a run. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't think him, and I don't think Dan, I don't think any of those guys expected to miss the playoffs going through that. And hindsight for those guys, that's a big mistake, massive mistake, because you have the talent on this team. You have a good quarterback that can win games. You have good weapons. You have a great, linebacking core. You had great safeties, but you waited in certain position groups too long, and you were too cautious. And it's a waste of a season, to be quite frank, in a window where you don't know when the window's going to – it could close next year. Just no one knows. And, I think that it shows, man. And I texted you today, we were talking about the Dan Campbell press conference. You could tell, in my opinion, watching it, you could tell. I don't think he's disappointed. Jeff, I think Dan Campbell's pissed off at his coaching staff. I genuinely believe that. When he gets asked those questions that you text, how do you get the what was the question? I know we might talk about it later, but the question about how do you get your identity back? He starts tapping the table. When dude, signs when people get mad. You could he's tapping the table. Dan Campbell is all about identity, and the fact that some of his position groups just don't have one. In the back of his mind, I don't know. I do think that we're gonna have these conversations down the line here tonight. my just initial thoughts is there's going to be some major changes. Not just on coordinate. I think it's like boom, 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 boom. Like it felt like this year the identity of the Lions, the grit was lost. And I could promise you this, Jeff, whether you agree with me or not, I could promise you the grit isn't gone from Dan Campbell. I think it's maybe the people under him working, and maybe the people that Brett, maybe they brought wrong guys in. I don't know. But I know the grit's not gone from Dan. So that only leaves a couple more options. And last thing I'll say about the game, too. One thing I just don't want to hear, I get it. There was a bad call when it comes to the Amon-Ra and the Isaac Tesla thing. Like that was a bad call. It was. We know it was. They missed the call. I go back to this every single time. Why were you even in that position as a 7.5-point favorites versus Steelers at home? Why? You should never, like, that's on you. It's on you that you have to put the ball, the game in the ref's hands again for like the 10th time this year. No Lions fan should genuinely, refs messed up. It was a terrible call. No Lions fan should be like, it's only on this team was so bad from start to finish. So bad. So it's on no one but the Lions.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because Rex Ryan went on Get Up today and was pissed at that call, that OPI call that was called on Isaac Tesla when Amon-Ra caught the game-winning touchdown, or at least people thought game-winning touchdown. Flag. OPI on Isaac Tesla gets called back, and you know the sequence of events after that. But here's let me play this clip from Rex Ryan. It was on Get Up. We'll kind of give our thoughts on it because I'm glad what you kind of led into it. Here's Rex talking about that call and what he thinks of the call.
Rare moment in sports talk where we will break down what may have been a controversial call. Doesn't happen very often in the sports world, but that's where we are going to begin today. Coach, did they get it right?
They got the last one right, but they certainly got the previous one dead ass wrong. Like the defensive guy on the St. Brown touchdown, he's the guy that initiated the contact right here on Tesla. He initiated the contact. This is an awful call, and unfortunately, it cost the Lions a win here and probably a playoff spot. So this is atrocious right here. Now on the other, the last one, okay, the last one clearly it was a PI by Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yes, he goes in, and as soon as he extends with both hands, it's a penalty. So right here, you see, right here, he jumps into Ramsey and puts both hands on him. That's going to be called, and that's the appropriate call. All right. What St. Brown has to do in that situation, understand this is going to be a 3-man rush by Pittsburgh. And quite honestly, it was only a 2-man rush here. You're going to have time. You don't need to get the separation. You have plenty of time. And unfortunately, that was the outcome. But there's no two ways about it. The first one to St. Brown was a touchdown, absolute touchdown.
Can we talk about his Christmas sweater?
Christmas. I was just looking at it.
The Grinch, dude. That Lions Grinch, like that. Where is that? How does he have that?
I don't know. It's a great sweater.
Rex Ryan, by the way, just a line. I guess his son. I don't know if he still coaches here, but Rex Ryan just always standing up for the Lions is just something I never have on my bingo card, man. I always forget about him.
Yeah, he is still on the Lions, by the way. And to be fair, he is the assistant. I think he is the assistant wide receivers coach.
Okay.
I have to.
So he's working closely with those guys that got those penalties. So exactly. Rex is really out there working.
You get it. Yeah.
I mean, I will say though, I don't think Rex.
No, but
everything
right.
Rex said is actually spot on, 100% correct. They missed a call with the Tesla. Tesla got jammed and pushed into the guy. That was not the right call from the refs. Also, the Amon-Ra one, that was the right call. So, like, both are true. Also, I think, like, for me, I'm just so tired of hearing about the refs. Also, as true as the Lions should not have been in that position to put the game in the refs' hands. It's just getting old. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm tired of the refs, but I'm also tired of when you're a massive favorite and you're in these games and you're losing them, and then you complain that the refs did that to you. You're a 7-point favorite. Why? Like, why are you down in that game? You're a 7.5-point favorite. It's the second time at home, them and the Vikings, where you're massive favorites and you lose.
Yeah,
it's on them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, to be fair, we can go to the Amon-Ra play. I mean, he committed a clear OPI that would have been a touchdown, correct? Right?
Amon-Ra at the very end?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was clear. Yeah, that was the right call.
But that would have been a touchdown with Jared Goff as the lateral.
It would have been.
So you know what I mean? And they had opportunities. You know, we talked about the 3 points at the beginning of the game. You know, you don't take 3, and then on top of that, you give up a safety, like 2 points here. 3. You can go through so many plays in a football game before we bring up, you know, a missed call, which, by the way, is a missed call. It was a bad call, in my opinion, because it looked like when you watch it, Isaac Tesla was pushed into the defender. So
it was so odd. I was shocked that they actually called that.
Out of his way and tried to pick the defender off. It looked like he was thrown into the guy. But it's not the here nor there. I mean, it's just overall, you put yourself in that position. So I agree with Rex, but at the same time, I can't go the ref route. I think that's an easy way out for fans. You know what I mean? And no one had a problem with the referees when they were helping the Lions get all the way up the field to even be in position to score. I mean, so because those calls were correct, obviously, but it goes both ways. You know what I'm saying? Refs are going to be bad. They're going to help you out at times. Feels like in Detroit at times, it feels like it's mostly the other way, but it's just how the game is, man. You're always going to have mistakes from referees. You just are. You always are. You know, I mean, they're getting on the Lions for doing the booger picking celebration. I mean, they're going to be on your ass for the dumbest stuff. I mean, the booger, and I enjoyed the booger picking celebration.
Yeah, I saw a tweet. It was like NFL, the new ear picking ones now. I love that one. That?
I think you said
no, the ear one you can. They got creative. What happens if they can't do the ear picking? What are they picking next?
Okay, we don't need to get.
I'm asking. Like, what were you thinking?
I don't know. Yeah, you're running out of holes. I mean, if we're,
floss.
You could do the floss.
Toss it. Come on now. It is crazy. I saw a tweet that people were like, Lions players can't do a nose picking celebration. The NFL steps into that mid game, but they can't step into to address DK Metcalf punching a fan. I was like, yeah, that's fair actually. The whole DK stuff is.
You got a result officially. DK Metcalf was suspended for 2 games without pay. He's on track to lose $500,000.
It's a lot of money, man.
2 games, $500,000 punch or grab. It's an expensive grab / punch / assault, whatever.
It is. Listen, I want your opinion too on this, Jeff. Hold on. By the way, try to get some Wi-Fi in here. I don't know how my computer's working. All right, we're good. Am I good? Can you see me clear?
Yeah.
All right. The thing with the DK thing, what do you think? And I'm not going to sit here and like accuse either side of lying, but you have the one side being like, hey, I just called him his legal name, his full name. He didn't like that. And then you have the other side to where Ocho comes out and says that he heard from a trusted source in DK's camp that the fan called him a racial slur and his mom the C word. And then today it comes out. I don't know if you saw this. I saw within the last couple hours, the fan, I guess, was getting like death threats. A lot of people reaching out to him. A lot of, obviously negative hate. And his lawyer, he got a lawyer, the fan did, and his lawyer released a statement, and it said that he never said any of those things, anything derogatory in those terms. And then the new video, we posted the video comes out of like kind of the before leading up to it.
Yep.
And there was nothing there. So everyone's like, I'm not saying like DK and whoever's in his circle told the Ocho's lying. I'm not saying the fans lying, but it's one, like, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know, where are you at with it? Cause you could say like both sides are lying, and it just, and I think Ocho, like the one thing that Ocho and them were correct about, which they should figure out, because, and I thought the video we posted actually cleared up a little bit of it, but like there are cameras and mics all over the NFL field, like everywhere. Like they should be able to pick up to see if the fan was saying that. And like the video we posted, it was about 15 seconds leading up to it. Nothing. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's I'll say where I'm at. I think with everything that we have right now, it's hard for me not to side with the fan. I mean, it's hard for me right now not to side with the fan. Although we don't, like you said, we don't have the only 2 people that really know the truth, or maybe a couple people, is it's DK, the fan, and then the couple people that were around them. And you saw the video, And it just it to me with the people around him, for him to say
those things,
like, come on, I would like to think I know the people in Detroit, or at least in Michigan, that go to the game. I would like to think that people wouldn't just stand there and the guy screaming the N-word, or calling his mom a C-word. There's staff right there. Did you not see the staff?
And he's a season and allegedly he's a season ticket holder. There was cops around. He's a season ticket holder, so he's there every game, obviously. So it's like he's never done that before. Why all of a sudden now with DK, like
DK doesn't have a strong case. To me, it sounds like a Myles Garrett situation. Again, another situation where we don't really know what happened, but I do know one thing. He accused Mason Rudolph of being racist. And what happened to Mason Rudolph? He got another job and everyone else forgot about it. So, like, I don't know. I think sometimes we start accusing people of throwing, this guy said this guy said this. And sometimes you do it out of fear that, like, oh, fuck, I might have fucked up. I'm just going to throw something into the wind and see if it lands. Like, like DK probably, like, I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm just going to say, the guy did some shit, or at least make me look a little better. But at the end of the day, man, words are going to, no matter what was said, I feel you would never say things like that on the street, obviously. But if you're an NFL player, you're probably hearing all types of fucked up shit being thrown at you.
For sure.
I can't imagine. But as an NFL player, you're in a lose-lose situation, because if you don't address it, you feel like, damn, I'm just going to sit here and let this guy do this to me, if it is true. Or if you do just do something, you're in trouble. So it's like your best thing to do is just walk away and avoid the situation. Like, these guys, you have more to lose than anyone else in the stadium. So, like, just DK doing that is just idiotic within itself. I mean, the guy, that was before the game, I believe, right? So it wasn't like he was not playing well and then decided to do that. But whatever happened, he was clearly rattled. I mean,
allegedly, when the Lions played the Seahawks last year, that fan was there as well. I think it was in Detroit. Was that in Detroit last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the sounds of it, that the same fan, him and DK, went at it last year as well. And DK actually, I think, had the NFL remove the fan last year, from what I've read, and allegedly.
And
so
I'm sure, I'm not saying that might be a troll. He might just.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you know how many times, like, the video, like, dude, I see videos too. Like, there's a Lions fan that posts videos of him talking to I've seen it. I don't know who the guy on TikTok is, but he's big, and he, like, trolls away teams in Lions games, and he's funny. Like, he's not disrespectful, but he's funny when he does it. And there's been players in the NFL that have gone over and messed with him and had a good time, like, joked around with him. I've seen it. I don't know I don't think it's this guy. I think it's a different guy, but I've seen it before, man. Like, you see it in all sports. There's a guy for the Grizzlies who sits courtside. I don't know if you've seen those videos. And he talks to the other team, and the other teams have fun with them, and they go back and forth. But obviously, like, that was just, I don't know. Like, it is crazy to me. I'm with you a little bit, where I don't see, like, in that environment, a guy that has season tickets would be yelling that stuff to DK. That would be, that's insane. And, like,
yeah, and both things could be true.
Yeah,
that dude could have been being a complete douchebag, and DK still messed up by going over there and putting his hands on him. So, that's a whole nother thing. So, yeah, so at least you have that settled. So, yeah, he misses the next 2 games. Whatever. They couldn't have removed him from the game because there wasn't any. I think the exact reasoning is they didn't really necessarily catch it, or there was, I don't know, whatever. They couldn't have. He wouldn't have sat out in the game, so we were kind of freaking out about that on the watch party, but it is what it is. Kory Woods will be joining us in a couple minutes. We'll talk to him. And then after Kory, we'll get into the blame game. We'll get into Calvin Shepard. We'll get into the Lions Super Bowl window. And then also at 9:30, we're doing something new. Super chats that are coming in right now. I haven't read any of them. We're reading them at 9:30. If you guys have any questions, just direct questions, super chats will be read at 9:30. Questions, thoughts, concerns, and then after that, we'll get to an actual mailbag with the chat. But super chats go first. If you guys have any questions, we'll do that at 9:30 later in the show. Something we have never done, but we'll get a chance for people to get their questions.
I feel bad. I kind of like the segment because we don't get to do calls, so it's kind of a way for us to be able to get some calls. That's all I look at it. It's similar to calls, just instead of asking questions, I would like to just read the thoughts of Lions fans. Like, how are Lions fans feeling about everything? That's all, And we used to be able to do calls, dude, day after games. And it was like the greatest thing of all time. You did it on the morning show. I did it at Woodward Nights. And it was one of my favorite things, just listening to Lions fans essentially just vent, right? And you were able to play off of that a little bit.
Lions fans today would have been the perfect day.
Oh, dude. I couldn't imagine. It's crazy. I mean, even if you want some entertainment, go to our Twitter and just go to some of the posts that have a lot of comments and just read the comments. I was doing it all day today. You just have such a split in Lions fan base. It's one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
I will say too, I get a feeling based on you're seeing now today more fans kind of want another year out of Kelvin. I'm seeing a lot of
I see that as well. We put a post out there, and I think it was 50-50, to be honest.
Yeah, it was more than I thought, to be honest. I've seen a lot of fans say give him one more year. I've seen that more often than yesterday. I think everyone's going to agree, obviously, but then the day after, everyone's like, wait, maybe give him a year. We'll have that conversation as well. But before we have Kory on, I got to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper. We'll see you guys in a minute, and then we'll be joined by Kory Woods from MLive.com. I've interrupted the video to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper in the new promotion they have going on. A brand new promotion is now live on Sleeper that could be paired with the 100% deposit match promotion that's already been going on. It's a free $20, no deposit required, plus first-time users will also receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Use the code CT Sports. You guys should already be using Sleeper. It's one of the fastest organically growing fantasy platforms in the entire world with millions and millions of active users. They are crushing it. And if your state allows it, you should be using Sleeper Picks. It's a real money product that connects friends over picks. You just choose 2 to 8 of your favorite players from pregame live or across different sports. Pick more or less than the predicted stats. And on Sleeper, you can get up to 1,000x payouts. Share with your friends. Get rewarded together. Don't forget, code CT Sports. Get a $100 deposit up to $100, and you got your free $20 entry. Sleeper is taking care of their customers. Always remember, gamble responsibly. Now let's get back to the video. Are the rumors true? Did Phillip Rivers? Someone just said Unk is going crazy. He
did just throw a dot down the middle, like a 20-yard touchdown to Alec Pierce to take the lead, instantly to start the game.
My
It
God.
was it was a throw, man. It was a throw.
Still has
it. That was crazy.
I got another guy that still has it. It's Kory Woods, covers
Let's
the Lions from MLive.com. We'll talk to him. It's been a while. And when I mean a while, for us not talking to Kory, it's like a week because he was on his deathbed last week, to be fair. But he's back. He's back, and he's ready to talk some Lions. Please welcome to the show, Kory Woods. Kory, how we doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm good. I mean, yeah, no more COVID.
Yeah, this man was battling. I was texting him too, but I said, man, that Lions season got you sick.
Man.
I mean, all the shit that Kory's had to endure the last 10 weeks, 11 weeks. I mean, Kory, you have, ever since the Chiefs game, you've had just loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. Now, as of yesterday, loss after the Rams game, now into the Steelers game. Just watching yesterday, Steelers team, they were favored by 7.5 points too. Now that we're a day removed, Kory, what's on your mind? Just thoughts on the team performance. It just felt like a complete meltdown, to be honest with you.
The one thing that stood out to me about yesterday's game was the sense of urgency and the tempo they played with on their final 3 drives. For me, I was wondering, where was this tempo at the entire game? Why are we only seeing this when they're coming from behind? We saw a couple. We've been seeing it lately when the Lions are behind. They play with a different upbeat, uptick, whatever you want to call it, when they're coming from behind, and the offense is moving a little bit smoother. They appear to be playing a little bit more carefree. So that was one thing that kind of stood out to me. But above everything, it's just a team that is just battling injuries. I mean, we can blame coaching. We can blame the coaching. You can blame Brad. You can blame whoever. But when it comes down to it, they don't have the horses on the offensive line. The guys on defense, Aleem is still recovering from his injury. I mean, I spoke with him and he said that, he's been trying to do a little bit too much instead of just dumbing it down and playing simple. And you've been down most of your starting secondary throughout the entire season. I mean, we haven't seen Kirby Joseph since week 6, week 7. Brian Branch, he went down. And then at various times of the season, Terrion Arnold and DJ Reed, they were down. And I still think that DJ Reed is still, he's still hampered by that hamstring injury. So it's just a lot going on. And that's where this team is at. And there is still blame to go around for why these injuries have affected them the way that they have. But that's just really what it boils down to.
Yeah, Kory, kind of with the game yesterday and then even like last week's game, today, Dan was asked about the identity of this football team. I thought that was an interesting question because Jeff and I have talked about this the last few weeks, that it feels like, even like with the injuries and everything, it feels like this team sometimes they do look defeated in big moments, to where in the past, you've seen them down in games and they're, the identity is still there, and you could see that, like the energy from those guys. Has there been like just you've been in the locker room and have been around a little bit. Has there been a different feeling this year than in years past when it comes to kind of the identity and the culture of everything within the locker room and the team this year?
I think the team right now is just experiencing a dose of vulnerability. That's just really it. This is now back-to-back seasons with this alarming amount of injuries, and a lot of people fell in love with 15-2 last year, but that was an outlier. Like going 15-2 and you're having 16 guys plus on your injury reserve from the defense alone, that does not happen. That is not normal. And it caught up to them finally when they faced the Commanders. This is just what you're seeing right now. It's just back-to-back seasons where they haven't been able to have that luck that they had last year. So now you're starting to kind of really feel it, like, okay, they're taking the losses, they're taking the hits, they're now in a position where they don't control their destiny. So I think that's all it really is. I think that the guys in there, they are still like a tight-knit group. They still believe, but this is just some adversity that they've been hit with that they're not used to. And they're just not able to go ahead and squeak out those wins the way that they were able to last year. Because, again, you need a little bit of luck in any game in general, but they had a serious amount of luck last season.
Kory, let me just ask you, because I go to you for this stuff. Lions fans seem to be split on it, but just from a coordinator standpoint, John Morton had his job duties taken away, at least from a play calling standpoint. Dan's taken over ever since the Commanders game. And, people are kind of have mixed opinions on just him as a future play caller. You saw what the Eagles did when they hired two new coordinators after Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon left. They cleared house after that season, and they had a winning record, but it just didn't look the same. And they got two veteran guys. They won a Super Bowl. And I think Lions fans are probably wondering the same thing. It's like, is there a chance that the Lions kind of do the same, where they clear the house with coordinators? Maybe it just didn't work. What's your confidence that but at least one coordinator returns, meaning Kelvin? Or do you think there's a chance potentially that you could see two new coordinators next season?
I think if there's a coordinator change, I think it would be with offensive coordinator. I think that it'll be John Morton. Kelvin Shepard, again, this is where I say where fans rightfully can get on Brad Holmes in this regard. He did not do in my opinion, he did not do an adequate job of providing this team with quality depth in the secondary and on the defensive lines in general. And when you don't do that and you're having to go sign guys off the street, poach guys from practice squads, as opposed to just drafting quality talent. So when guys do go down, you have players that are already in the system that you can just elevate. That is the issue right there. I think that you can only coach with what you have. And when you're having to pull safeties from different teams and off the streets, that's not really a sustainable way to live. Because, and this is no disrespect to those guys in the locker room, but if teams thought that they were starter level talent, they would not be on practice squads or sitting at home. And now you're bringing those guys in to go against other teams' best. And that's just not an ideal recipe. So in that regard, I think it's kind of premature to talk about Kelvin Shepard being gone, because it's also a same issue that Aaron Glenn dealt with. Now, when you get to the other side of the ball, I think that when they pulled the play calling duties away from John Morton, things didn't automatically look great, but you start to see the offense regain its identity. Things started to look a little bit smoother. The problem is you still cannot get things to go the way that it needed to go because the interior offensive line play this year has been, it's been subpar. And when you have subpar interior offensive line play, you're not able to get those longer developing routes, that play action passing, the run blocking. You need a good offensive line for all of that to work. And if it doesn't work, it's going to look how it did. Now, when it comes to John Morton, I don't think that you can kind of take the play calling from him, then give it back to him. So if I were a betting man, I would say probably I'm somewhere between 65 to 75% that John Morton will probably not be here next year.
Yeah, Kory, I do want to ask you too. I'm just kind of jumping all around here. The offensive line play, can I get your thoughts on that, especially after yesterday? Like, obviously, they've been below average this year in the offensive line play. And then you saw yesterday the run game with Jahmyr Gibbs, had, I think, like 2 or 3 rushing yards, which I can't believe I'm even saying that. And they had, 15 rushing yards or around there as total as a team yesterday. Where do you sit with this offensive line? Do you think, like, outside of maybe Tate and Penne, it needs to be a kind of an overhaul of an O-line? Or do you think they're just maybe a piece or two away? Like, where do you stand with the offensive line after seeing that running performance yesterday?
Well, I mean, you didn't have Graham Glasgow. You're rotating. You had King. You had to elevate Kingsley, and then Michael Neese came in at a spot when Kingsley had to come out. So, I mean, again, you're elevating a center from the practice squad to come in and take meaningful snaps against, a tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense who, for golf's sake, thankfully didn't have TJ Watt out there. But, even though it's an outside, but, just in general, I think that they're going to have to go ahead and get another center out there. I wouldn't push Taylor Decker out the door just yet, but you're going to have to start thinking long-term and drafting his replacement because there were times this season that Decker didn't even practice. He just suited up for games. So I think you're going to have to think long-term about rebuilding this team through the trenches, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side as well.
Yeah, Kory, I'll just ask you, the next 2 games, fans are wondering, why should I have faith that the Lions can even take on the next 2 games or try and win? I think they have a 16% chance. What's kind of your thoughts on this Vikings matchup and then the Bears matchup to kind of close the season? And what's kind of your final record now that you have 6 losses? Or wait, yeah. No, 7 losses?
7.
Yeah, 7 losses.
Where I'm at right now is I think that there is a pathway for them to beat the Vikings, but I got to see it to believe it. Now, with the way that this team is performing, I think realistically, they can beat the Vikings, but when they go to Chicago, they will go ahead and lay an egg out there in Chicago and finish the season 9-8. That's kind of where I'm at right now. And I know there are some people that probably don't want to hear the injury excuses. And you know what? That's fair. But again, this is where Brad Holmes has to draft better and has to do better and adding adequate talent in free agency so that you can sustain these injuries. And he did not do a good enough job on that, and he's going to have to own that. But just where they're at right now, I just think that 9-8 is the most realistic scenario for them. I think they go out, especially if JJ McCarthy's not going to play this Thursday. I think they go out there, they go handle business, but when they go ahead and hit the road to Chicago and face Ben Johnson and company, I think it's about to be lights out.
Hey, Kory, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but I'm interested in kind of if you've had this thought process yet now that the season potentially could be over here. Some of those specific Lions players on the team right now, you have DJ Reed up on his deal. Anzo, you have a handful of guys who their deals are coming up. Who would you say, if you had some sort of hot take or thought process on who's not going to be a Detroit Lions? Is there a couple guys that you say you don't think they're coming back at all next year and look for some replacements? Have you had those thoughts yet?
Yeah, I've had some thoughts about that for sure. I think that I could see Alex Anzalone. On Alex Anzalone, I'm 50-50. I see a scenario where he comes back, but I do think that the writing is kind of on the wall. I think they're ready to turn the keys over and let this be Jack Campbell's defense. So I see a scenario where Anzo goes somewhere else and gets the bag. DJ Reader, I kind of thought that writing was on the wall when they drafted Tyleik Williams. So I think that's kind of the direction where they go in. They go and get younger. Reader goes somewhere else, gets a bag, probably go help somebody trying to be a Super Bowl contender. And then you said you wanted a hot take. I'll give you my hot take. His contract is not up, but I do not think that David Montgomery is coming back next season.
Wow.
All right, Kory. We a couple of days ago we had a conversation about maybe I brought up a trade situation, kind of how they traded DeAndre Swift before the draft, and then drafted Gibbs. Obviously not drafted Gibbs, but
yeah,
that scenario they've done it before with the guy they liked and had in house.
Yeah, unless they have some serious conversations in offseason and they're able to go ahead and repair this offensive line, I just don't see a scenario where David Montgomery comes back. Now, I want to be clear about this so people don't try to say I said something out of pocket. Perfect teammate, hasn't shown anything as far as him not, being down and out or anything like that. But the guy is completely healthy this season. He's still a credible running back who can help a team, but his carries have significantly diminished. Now, again, part of that is because of the offensive line play, because he's a different running back than Jahmyr Gibbs. But just with the way that it's kind of like they're giving the keys to more so Gibbs in that regard, and they're not really doing the Sonic and Knuckles, the real pairing of them splitting the carries like they did last season, something that did make them effective when, again, they had solid offensive line play. I just see a scenario where they potentially move on from him. But I would say that would probably be my wild card. If I had to give a percentage on that, I'm somewhere probably around 35-40% that he would be gone. But again, it's nothing, no fault of his own. It's just that the way you kind of see things going.
Well, Kory, we appreciate the hell out of you, my friend. Keep up the great work. Thanks for joining. You guys can check out Kory Woods for all the updates as it pertains to the Detroit Lions at Kory Woods. Kory, good luck this week. Merry Christmas to you. We'll catch you next time, my friend.
All right, peace.
Merry Christmas, Kory.
There you go.
Merry Christmas.
Kory Woods joining the show, covers the Lions for MLive.com, good friend of ours. We got more to get to.
Do you think, real quick,
go ahead.
Oh, we've got a lot because some of the conversations that I have here next, I'm like, whoa. By the way, I wonder, I should ask Kory, like, what's the feeling as a beat writer? We can ask the doc tomorrow too. Like, what's the feeling as a beat writer or like a reporter that you're sitting there like knowing most likely you're not going to be in the playoffs? Like, you get off a little earlier, right? Like, these seasons are so long. Like, I mean, I would be lying. Like, I want the Lions to win the Super Bowl. I'm walking around my house. I'm like, the only positive, there's a positive about this is, I'll tell you what, the NFL season for people who like us who cover the team, oh my Lord, it's a grind, dude. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
A little downtime isn't too bad.
Well, the reality is if they're winning or if they're losing, there's still plenty to talk about.
Oh, we're always have stuff to talk about.
Even if it's frustrating.
Just get our weekends back, though,
Which, by the way, the Dave Montgomery stuff's very interesting. I have seen more and more of those articles, conversations that David Montgomery could potentially
I think it's actually headed to, if I'm just being honest, and this isn't like, we obviously don't have sources, nothing. I just think it's a connect the dot situation where D-Mont obviously made those posts the last couple weeks. He's obviously, and I brought the stat up, Jeff, the other day about with David Montgomery. I think after yesterday, I believe it was 6, maybe. I believe I could double check. 6 straight games with under 8 carries. 6 straight with under 8 carries. And in that span, he's averaging, over, 4 to 5 yards per carry. And they just refuse to keep giving him the ball. So it seems like, I don't know if it's something to where that it's not, you can't say they don't trust him, that they're going with Gibbs. And if you're David Montgomery, dude, I do not fault him one bit being frustrated. If you're running the ball the way he is and he's actually playing well, and you can't get more than 8 carries in one game, and yesterday you have 4, I think for Dan and the offense, there's no excuse for that with D. I could understand why that relationship might get a little fractured, to be honest. And you know what I mean? Like, that's one of those. There's no taking it back.
Hey, you know what I will say? You know what's surprising? You know what's surprising? And,
I almost just died there, bro. What was that?
I know the ghost. It's the ghost of Demon, dude.
Yeah. No, it was really just Brad Holmes being like, "Shut up! Stop saying these things."
By the way, Steve Lehman in the chat's he's been harping on it all year, and I'll say the surprising thing to me is David Montgomery. He played in Chicago, right? He averaged 4 yards a carry in Chicago. He's had 1,000 yards in Chicago. And think about the offensive lines he's had to run behind. Like, this guy isn't used to a below-average offensive line.
Yeah.
And you just refuse to give this guy the ball.
I don't blame him if he asks out or if he's mad. Like, you can't be mad at David Montgomery.
The longest run of the day yesterday was from David Montgomery. He had a 17-yard run. Think about that.
Yeah. By the way, he had 4 carries. He had a couple. I think he had 2 runs that didn't go anywhere, and then the other 2, 17, and I don't know, maybe the 3 that didn't go anywhere.
Even if 3 of the 4 didn't go anywhere, he still had a 17-yard run. Like, it's like, at least you have he was the only one who showed life out of that
at all.
I mean, and you just did not give him the football. I mean, that's coming off of a game against the Rams in which you couldn't run the ball, and he averaged 4 a carry.
Yep.
So talk about learning from your mistakes. They did the exact opposite.
By the way, too, people saying that you can't cut him or anything. If David Montgomery is not with the Lions next year, it's going to be via trade. Yeah, there's teams out there. It's just like the DeAndre Swift when we traded DeAndre Swift to the Eagles. Like, there are going to be teams out there who would benefit.
You know who would be the first to call?
From David Montgomery. Instantly.
The Texans would call.
If you want to talk about getting 3rd-round picks back, Brad could do that and save money with the running back. I don't want him to. I want to make that clear, by the way. I want David Montgomery a part of this offense. I think he's incredible. But that's just connect the dots. And it seems like David right now might not be the happiest of campers. And Dan and them, like, even after like the comments with Dan last week when asked about him, like, there was nothing where Dan's like, we want to give him the ball. He was just like, he's a pro.
Yeah.
And then next week they give him the ball forward to even less. So it's like it's going down. I don't know if they are mad that I'm not going to say it. Never mind. I have a hot take.
Why wouldn't you say it?
I think there's something going on in that locker room. And I don't think it's just one player. I think there are, and I don't think it has anything to do with Dan. I just think there are issues.
Well, it's his locker room.
It is. I guess it is. But like, I do think no one's heard. I think there are things going on in that locker room, maybe with its players' attitudes or its players in general just not getting along with coaches or players not getting. I don't know what it is. I don't know how you go from 15-2 to not making the playoffs and having this drastic of a fall off. And there's not something going on behind the scenes. And like, even like you look at the Demont situation, like Demont's getting less and less carries when he's been running the ball, the better running back. And Dan, like, he's a pro. Listen, this isn't me saying that there's issues going on. It just feels like there's something in that locker room right now that's not being talked about, maybe potentially, because it feels weird. It does. It does not feel like years past. Think about the sideline. When they're down, usually the last few years, they're all yelling at each other, pumping each other up. When they're losing, they're excited. They don't do that. They haven't done that in all year. I feel like there's just like not a chemistry with this group.
Well, you know what it is. And two things. One, if you know what it is, it's like a very, very good. Me and you we love basketball. That's what we like to watch. Okay, so think about it like this: a guy's an elite 3-point shooter. Feels like he can make a shot from anywhere on the court, confidence-wise. It's just like it felt like in games, no matter if the Lions were down in a game or just to compare and make a comparison, is if you're a very good 3-point shooter and you're 1 for 10 from 3, you still feel like you can make a shot. You still have confidence. It felt like even if the Lions were down in games last 2 years, they're just like, yeah, we're going to win this game. Like, it just felt like I ain't worried about it. You know, even if they're struggling, you still knew they're going to figure it out somehow. This guy's still going to find a way to get his shot right.
Yeah.
He's still going to figure it out. Feels like this year they've just lost their touch. It doesn't feel like they even believe at times that they can come back and make a comeback or win a game, or at least they play like it. It just feels like they lost that spark at times. Even yesterday, they had a chance to win the game, but defensively, you've seen it in games. Offensively, you've seen it in games, late in games, where they just don't close games or even find a way to come back in games. Just doesn't look like the Lions of the past.
They don't have that swagger.
You know what I want to make very clear too, because this is a thing I think people get confused with, and I said this morning, and I want to know what you think about this. People, when people ask what the Lions' identity is on offense, you know what I think most people would probably say? It's the aggressiveness, it's the fourth down, it's going forward on fourth down. I think that's false. I think what the Lions' identity has been over the last couple of years is we have a good O-line, we have good running backs, we're going to run the ball down your throat, and you cannot do anything about it. If it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, we're going to run the ball, and you're not going to be able to stop it. I think that's what the Lions' identity has been. We're more physical. We're going to stop the run, and we're going to run the ball down your throat. That's what it's not about fourth down being aggressive. That's the identity of the Lions. And you know what's ironic is it feels like you've lost your identity, and the assistant coach that was here that's now in Chicago has that identity. We're going to run the ball down your throat. You're not going to be able to stop it. And we're going to stop the run and do a good job of it. And obviously they're not very talented on defense, but they get takeaways. Remember that on defense? We get takeaways. That was their idea. We get takeaways. Bears are doing that. It's like the Lions just lost. I'm not saying Ben had it. I'm not insinuating that Ben was the whole identity. But what I'm saying is they've just lost their identity. They don't have the same O-line. That's why it frustrates me when Dan at times still goes for it like he has Kevin Zeitler and Frank Ragnow up there. It's like, remember the game they were without all these receivers, and offensive linemen were hurt, and he was still going for it on fourth down, and he was asked about it after the game. Does not having, Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra and all these guys affect your decision-making on fourth down? He was like, no, I just believe in these guys. Terrible answer. You have to adjust to who you have out there, Dan. You don't have Frank and Zeitler and Laporta and Amon-Ra to be confident to be able to go for it, and we're going to convert this. I don't know. I think that's where they've lost their identity. They have a worse O-line. They're without some of those guys that they were obviously great with on offense, like Sam Laporta. He's been hurt a lot. But it just feels like they've lost that spark. And then on defense, you can't stop the run at all. So they're getting bodied up front on both sides. And that's where it's just been a meltdown.
I had a conversation today, and I brought it up because some Bears highlights came up on the TV. And my comment was, it's crazy to think that right now, or really the last 2 seasons, the feeling that Lions fans had of how exciting and how tough their team was. Jeff, word today, it's this exact same. How tough this Lions team was, the feeling we had over the last 2 years. The Bears were on the TV, and I'm like, that's what Bears fans are going through right now. They get that, they're getting that feeling that we've had for the last 2 years when it comes to our team's going to play their tails off, win or loss. They're going to give you everything they have, no matter who's on the field. It's like last year, man. I think that was a great point. Yeah. And you know what? Kudos to a little bit to Aiden Hutchinson, because he said it post-game yesterday when asked about injuries and different things. And this is what we've been preaching and we've been saying for a couple weeks now when this defense has been struggling, where it's the Bears, no matter what injury they have, no matter what they have, it's the same thing right now with the San Francisco 49ers without their top 2 defensive players. We brought that up last week. They just play hard. They have an identity defensively. Offensively, they have an identity. And again, the word that we use all the time in Detroit is the grit. They have that. And Lions have had that for years. All of a sudden, you don't have that, especially defensively. There's 1, maybe 2 players. One's hurt right now in Brian Branch, but Jack Campbell, who actually has that grit where you're like, that dude is scary to play against. Aiden Hutchinson said it last night, Jeff. They asked him about injuries, and he goes, listen, we really have no excuses with injuries. Last year, our whole defense was injured. Hutch was out. Hutch brought this up. He was out. Aleem out. Linebackers out. 1 million players out last year defensively, and guess what? They still won games. Whether it was against worse teams or not, they still won games, and defensively they looked decent. To Hutch's point, this year,
the 49ers?
He did. He brought up the 49ers. He said the 49ers without Fred Warner and without Nick Bosa, they're still finding a way. Like that's why he was like, it's hard to have excuses. And that's where there's like a lot of Lions fans and even people who are in the media and like talk about the team and bring it up. It's like, they're like, well, there's injuries. And like my comment section over the last 48 hours has just been, well, the injuries. No, like every NFL team has injuries, man. There's teams that are in the playoffs right now who have lost their top 3-4 defensive players and are still playing. There's no excuse for it. And I put a tweet out today on my personal. It was like, go look at last year's rushing defense to this year's rush defense. Last year, Jeff, here, let me pull up a tweet. I'm not going to pull it. I'll just read it. But last year, this is what's crazy to me, Jeff, of people that want to make excuses. Last year, this Lions defensive line had DJ Reader, Josh Pascal, Mitchell Agude, Zadarius Smith, bad run defender, David Long, AQM, Pat O'Connor, mind you, got cut this year during the Lions season, Levi O, Ben Neiman, who knows where Ben Neiman is, Miles Adams, who is like 40 years old, who knows where Miles Adams is, and guess what? In their run defense, they were 5th in the NFL, under 100 yards, rushing yards per game in the NFL. 5th. This year, you have Aiden Hutchinson back, Marcus Davenport back, DJ Reader in there, Ali McNeil's back, AQM returned, Tyleek Williams, a first-round draft pick, Roy Lopez, Derek Barnes, who was out for the year last year, coming off the edge now, supposed to be a helping in the run defense, Tyrese Wheat, and right now you are 16th. You're at the bottom half of the NFL in rush defense at 116-ish yards per game. And you have on paper, a better defensive line.
Better front seven.
Last year, you had guys that were coming off the streets from practice squads who didn't have a job in the NFL that were coming in, and they were and AG had them ready to go. And then if you want to be like, well, Booner, Dan said today that the secondary plays into the run defense when it helps, they play hand in hand. What about the corners last year? What about those guys? You had your safeties, but you were constantly rotating guys in and out in the secondary. You were rotating linebackers.
Don't break again.
Anzo was out for for about 6 weeks as well. You were going through it, right? That's legit. And AG was able to figure it out. That's where I get into the trouble of man, I don't care about the injury excuses, man. Your identity defensively is gone. It's broken. It's demolished. It's disappeared. Point blank.
Yeah.
And Hutch said it last. You know what? I'm happy Hutch said that last night because at least someone in that room is a little bit of aware about it because Shep steps up to the podium and he won't admit it. And then what's the first way to fix something, Jeff? Realizing, hey, this is the problem. To fix the problem, you have to address the problem, and you have to know it's there.
The problem.
If you can't admit it and you just keep ignoring it and you don't want to admit it, it can't get addressed. So I'm very happy last night Aiden Hutchinson stepped out there and said, "Yeah, hey, why is there excuses for us?"
Yeah, agreed. And actually, Dan, I want to play this clip by Dan to end the presser today. He was asked by Jennifer Hammond about their identity and them being pushed around essentially. And here's what Dan Campbell had to say to that.
Tuesday hits. That's the message.
I just wanted to kind of follow up. Perhaps I didn't ask my question in a thorough enough manner. Do you feel like there's a way with just 2 games left that you can talk about the identity? How do you reclaim that a little bit, to Will's point of kind of reinforcing your will in the run game and winning in the trenches, those places that you were previously so strong and that was your identity? How can you get it back with just 2 games to go?
I think you just do it. You just do it.
Hey, can you just play that can you play just the part, just Dan?
Let me see.
Have you ever, before you play, been in a situation of something that really makes you mad and you just you're processing it and you just look at someone?
Let me take this out because then you can see the table. Here's what he said.
But real quick, pause it. When you're mad and you're angry and you're just looking at someone
yeah, he's
all right. I mean, that's clearly what Dan looks so mad in this clip.
What's your identity? How can you get it back with just 2 games to go?
I think you just do it. Just do it.
I mean, he just
Dude, he is so mad.
fed the F up, dude. I mean, and I commented on the press. It was me who commented. I commented on under our account, Crunch Time.
What'd you say?
And quote, just do it. I said Dan's response to a thorough question about getting their identity back. Like come on. You know, and then, people were responding and it was most people, I got a lot of thumbs up on it. So people were like agreeing, but I will say, I hope people, and I clarified that when someone, because I think Anakin shot to him, he's in our chat. He's like, I hope you guys don't want him fired. No one's wants Dan fired. I just found it hilarious that Dan at the point is just like, just do it.
I think he's just fed up of players and coaches.
Because he knows you have 2 games left, man. You can't establish an identity with 2 games left. I mean, you can't do it. That's like something you do in training camp, in OTA. I mean, this is like a whole thing that Dan's built ever since he got here. So it's probably frustrating to be asked. Not that Jennifer did it. I mean, it was a great question, her and Will. But from Dan's perspective, it's like, dude, I'm going to be asked about something that I hope I would never be asked about, which is, where's your identity? And he did even say it, like, that's on the head coach. Like, he did say, he's like, it's on me if we're going to bring up identity. I mean, but that he always is going to take accountability. I mean, who knows what he actually believes? Whose fault is it? Which, by the way, I put out a poll on our YouTube channel because you get a bigger voting. You get a lot more votes on it. I put out a poll today on our YouTube channel. Who do you blame for the season? And it got 600 plus votes on the poll. So we have a big sample size of votes. And I put Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, coordinators, and injuries. Here's those results. So 600 plus votes, 54% say Brad Holmes, 26% say injuries, 11% say coordinators, and 9% on Dan Campbell. So Dan has the least blame, and then coordinators are right next to him. And then injuries, and it's injuries in Brad for the most part, people believe. 600 plus people voted on this. That's a lot of people.
That's actually a really good sample size to get a feel for it, to be honest.
Yeah, 600 plus people, 600 plus Lions fans voted on this. And they believe it's Brad and injuries combined. More so. I don't know. I mean, are we sure that the coordinators have just as much blame as Dan Campbell? I mean, like...
Well, I guess Dan hired them, but when you do hire them, you expect... Like, if they're getting fired, if potentially... I'm not saying they're going to get... But if they potentially get fired year one, yeah, it's on Dan for hiring, but they're just not good at their job. So I could see where you put the blame on them. Like the Eagles year, like you could be like, yeah, Nick Sirianni for hiring them, but I'm sure a lot of those Eagles fans are like, those coordinators sucked. They were bad. Like they're the reason we lost. Yeah, Nick shouldn't have hired them. It was a bad hire, but it was their fault. They were bad. Like we've seen coordinators do it. It's on them. That's where I think with fans would be with like Dan. That's how I look at it.
Maybe how I phrased that was bad. Maybe not that he has the same, but at 11 and 9%. That's where I'm more shocked.
The other day I had the coordinators above Dan Campbell.
Yeah, and I had Dan above the coordinators, but it's about really the percent. Like look at 26%, over double. There's more that picked injuries than Dan and the coordinators combined. There's more that believe it's the injuries more than Dan and the coordinators, which to me is like, and I'll say it, that's cope. I mean, if we're going to sit here and say it's the injuries, that's cope. You're coping to me. And I'm not saying injuries don't have an effect, but to say that it's because of the injuries that they've had a disaster season, to me is coping. That's not looking like we just talked about addressing the problem at hand, which is well, it's a lot of things. I mean, we'll get to Brad in a second. Brad, I think, leads the poll, no question. But from Dan Campbell's perspective, he did hire them. And I believe the best thing for Dan Campbell, and I said this, I've been saying it, and I think me and you are on the same page. The best thing for Dan Campbell right now is to clear house. Fire both coordinators. Start fresh. Do what the Eagles did. It's the sample size right there. Not that you're going to do exactly what they did, but it's the best sample size. 2 coordinators, it didn't work out. And they had a winning record, and they still got rid of them. And guess what? They got 2 proven guys, and boom, everything was fixed. Kumbaya. That's what I think. And for Kelvin Shepard, I don't think this is where I think I'm confused with the fan base. And I've seen people tweet it out. Give Kelvin 1 more year. He's going to get better in his second year. Guys, you're not in the business of grooming coordinators. I've been saying this repeatedly. You're not in the business of grooming coordinators. You're not. This isn't like we don't have all the time on our hands to sit back and have a cocktail and just wait for Kelvin to develop. Like you need results now, right now. And say what you want about Philly, right? Like we can say all types of stuff about that fan base, but the reality is they know what it is. They're like, hey, these guys suck. Get them out of here. Get new faces in. Let's roll. You can't tell me that you can look at the job Kelvin's done and be like, yeah, I'm willing to give him one more year. Guys, it's been a complete meltdown on defense. And you just brought up a great point. You just nailed it with the comparison to last year to this year. They have had a healthy front seven, dude, and they're still regressing and still they look bad, not only against top, because you could say, well, the schedule's been harder. It's the Giants, Jameis Winston. It's the Steelers, and what Mike Valenti called a scarecrow in Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's not just the Mahomeses and the Dak. No, you're looking bad against bad quarterbacks. Okay? Like, and you think this guy's going to lead you to a Super Bowl and out-coach some bright offensive guy or some elite? Because, by the way, when you get to the Super Bowl, you're probably going to face an elite quarterback. Okay? You're probably going to face an elite quarterback. So I'm out. I'm done. Boone. Give me two new faces. Give me the best guys. Give me the best guys you can get, and let's roll. I think that's the best thing. Yeah. And I think his biggest mistake would be giving that man another year. And I hate going the route of calling for guys' jobs, but it's the reality. Results, we do the same with a player. If a player was underperforming, you cut him, you bench him, you trade him. We have to start holding coaches to the same standard. If you're not upholding those standards, you are fired. Thanks for your service. We'll see you later. In a Super Bowl, like your Super Bowl, the room for error. The margin of error is slim, very slim. So I'm out. I'm both. I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I wish I could defend Shep and I can defend this defense. I wish I could defend the coordinators in this situation. I'm typically the guy on the show, and I'm typically the guy to be more optimistic and positive in these situations. Yeah. But listen, I can't see a world when you're in the NFL, man, and you're a team that's supposed to be winning a Super Bowl and be contending every year. Like if this was year one, Dan Campbell, year two, Dan Campbell, okay, you can give Shep another year or two, and you can, like let him build with the team. It's similar to what the AG thing was, right? I can't sit here though and say, hey man, like next year you need to win a Super Bowl. There was no positives this year. Like, all right, I'm not gonna say there wasn't positive. Like there was positives. You regressed throughout the season, right? Yeah. Like you looked good, and you could be like, yeah, it was the safeties, and you could be like, well, there were no Brian Branch, no Kirby, Terrion went down, like all these players went down. You could say all that all you want, but at the end of the day, like reality is you went down. And last year with AG, when you started, you lost Aiden Hutchinson, you lost specific players, Davenport, Anzalone, like you lost big time pieces on your defense last season. And what did AG do? He stayed the same or it got better, right? Like he still had positive games or he stayed the same. There was no massive regression last year with all those injuries, or arguably more injuries than they've had this year in 2025. I can't sit here and argue that. Like I wish I could, Jeff, and stick up for Shep and try and find opportunities to save his job. I think it would be irresponsible. And I will be side by side with you. Hey, we'll lock arms and we'll go protest. I will be side by side with you. You need to get a new face in that room, man. You do. And I love Kelvin Shepherd. We were one of the biggest advocates when AG was still here talking about Shep getting the job. Maybe he wasn't ready. I don't know, but it's obviously not working. Like it just isn't. And there's no fact. Like if you want to say that again, I could keep bringing up the injuries. You had a worse defense last year, and you were playing better defense, even with injuries both years. You're bottom half in the league in every single defensive category. Every single one. You're bottom 5 in the NFL, bottom 10, I believe, actually, in the NFL, like 25th or something, and like points per game, yards per, like all these stats. There hasn't been a positive. And I do think, honestly, I think it'd be irresponsible from Dan Campbell to go in this offseason and not go out and get someone who's been there and who's done that. Like get someone who has the experience. And I don't think, listen, it shouldn't look down on Kelvin Shepherd. He gave everything he had for that this year. But obviously, it just you don't get that feeling that he could put out a Super Bowl defense, man. I just don't get it. Like Hutch, I know everyone's like Hutch has been under Shep. Hutch has been unproductive. Like he's had production, but like there's questions in press conferences like what's going on with Aiden Hutchinson, and Shep has to answer to that. And those haven't been conversations that we've had to ask about Hutch in the years past. You know what I'm saying? And guess what were the conversations to Shep about that, Jeff? Why is Hutch playing 95% of the snaps? Well, are you going to tell him to get off the field? You're the defensive coordinator. If Dennis Allen was in that building, Dennis Allen would say, hey, I need to look out for your career and our defense. You're coming out. You're playing Myles Garrett snaps 80-something%. We're not going to run you into the ground and you're going to be tired for half of the snaps. And when the fourth quarter comes around and we need stops, you can't run up and down the field. Guess who that's on? That's on your rookie coordinator who made that decision. There hasn't been any progression from Tyreek. If anything, regression.
Yeah.
Shep's the one, and I think Derek Barnes is a great player. I like the money thing with that, but Shep's the one that's like, we need to pay him that money. And now guess what? Ansell's about to be out the door because you had to pay him. Like, there's just these decisions, in my opinion, where it's just like, hey, man, like, we can go down the line with this, man. You refuse to, address the run defense the last few weeks, and you've tried to make media members look stupid for asking legit questions. And you know what that shows me, Jeff? Like, that's signs of, like, I don't want to say immaturity, but that's signs of a young coach that just isn't there yet. That's just not there yet. That can't step up to the media and do what Dan Campbell does every day. And if there is one of those situations, he can put his hand up and be like, that's on me, whether you believe it or not. But the fact that you're pushing back at media, trying to prove your point, in my opinion, don't like it. That's already a sign of weakness, in my opinion. You know what I mean? That's a sign of weakness. And you're supposed to be the leader of that defense. I love Shep. I just don't think he's there yet. I really don't. And I know a lot of people are going to clip the me and you saying this, and people are going to be, oh, people asking for Shep's job. Man, if you're not asking for Shep's job and you're not asking for a guy like Dennis Allen or Robert Saleh or a veteran DC to come in and run this defense next year, you obviously have very low expectations for this Detroit Lions team. Point blank fact. Point blank fact. You do not have Super Bowl expectations for this Lions team if you don't want a new DC and a new OC here next year.
Yeah.
Bottom line. That's it. There should be no question. And you know what? And last thing I'll say, I'm sorry, Jeff, I'm going a little bit over.
You're good.
The last thing I'll say is Dan Campbell today, the clip that you showed makes me think that Dan Campbell has that same thought. Where this defense, the turn from last year to this year, what did I say last year about this defense every single day? They are mean. They take guys' heads off. They play with a side of a chip on their shoulder, and they are one of the toughest and meanest defenses in the NFL. And that's why defensively they were so good last year when they had all those injuries. But this year, with almost all those guys there besides your safeties, there is no one on that team besides Jack Campbell that's currently healthy, that plays with any sort of chip on their shoulder, that plays with any sort of, that toughness that Dan Campbell usually has. No one. And I'm sure Dan watches that and it's like, it has to eat him in the insides, man. It has to. It's embarrassing. It really is. And then you turn on and watch the Chicago Bears and you go, why do they play so hard? Why does that defense play so hard? It's embarrassing. It really is. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think there needs to be an overhaul of coordinators. Point blank.
It has nothing. And by the way, like Calvin, guy knows football. He was a great linebackers coach. Someone commented in the chat, spot on. Might just be in over his head. It happens. All right. That's a human thing. It happens in regular jobs too. You're great at a job that you've been doing for so long, and you take a big promotion and you're like, holy shit, I'm in over my head. Maybe I'm just better off at what I was doing. I think, or at least I'm not ready yet for this. Maybe Calvin's just not ready yet for this. Not yet. Maybe he needs a little more time. I'm not saying he can never do it. But right now, with the expectations where the Lions are right now, it's a bad mix because people are demanding greatness. And for those people on Twitter that I see, and I know Twitter's fake, but I'm just addressing, maybe there's people that believe it in the chat. Well, Jeff, There was times where we were saying that this defense was great. And Calvin Shepard put together great game plans earlier in the season. It's called updating your resume. All right. We all go through it. Players do as well. It's like when players age and their play decreases, you update your resume. All right. It's different for coaches. Obviously, they don't have like a prime and stuff like that, but still, you got to update your resume. And right now, the resume we're seeing from Calvin Shepard is not the one at the start of the year. And with updated information, I have an updated opinion. So we can't use old information to try and justify now new information. I mean, there was a point in time where I said in the microphone, they got a Super Bowl defense. That was also like 8 weeks ago. Okay. We're seeing a complete meltdown. And I think that's the most concerning part with the healthy front seven. I mean, you can't even stop the run. Tell me one thing right now. I think this is the best the best exercise for trying to see whether or not you're a good coach. What's the Lions' identity on defense?
Well, the last 4 weeks, giving up 1 million yards.
Like if I were to ask someone, let's say I brought in another random NFL guy's been watching the NFL for a while. I'm like, hey, watch this team. Never watched the Lions in his life, but he loves the football. Let's just say hypothetically, never watched the Lions. And I'm like, hey, turn on this. What's this defense's identity? Just watching the tape. I bet you that guy would be like, I have no clue. And I've watched 4 games. I have no clue. They don't do anything well. They give up a bunch of yards in both the run and pass. They don't get turnovers enough. I don't know. That to me is the most concerning thing about about a coordinator. And then if you get to the offense, it's like, well, what is their identity? Right now, it's Jared Goff, point blank. That's their identity on offense. It's Jared Goff. Which probably isn't it's not ideal. But that would probably be, if you're watching this Lions offense, you're like, it's Jared Goff. That's the identity. Guy zips it around the field, throws up a bunch of passing yards.
Yeah.
which I feel bad. Jared Goff, I don't want to hear, this is what I've seen at some is like people try and come and go at Jared Goff. Did he? Okay. He threw the ball how many times yesterday? 50 times, something like that. Threw the ball a ton yesterday. You got to think of the position Jared Goff's in. You know what I'm saying? You got no O-line, you got no run game, and you're down your safety blanket tight end.
I got an argument today with someone, and they were essentially like, you're never going to win with Goff. It's on Goff. It's all Goff. And I'm like, I said this point straight up. There has to be a sickness with some Lions fans about blaming Jared Goff. There's a sickness. There truly is. There truly is a sickness. The Washington game, yeah, you can blame him for sure. But 49ers game, that man, we talked about it. That man played great in the playoffs then. He's been good this year. You can't genuinely, it's like after every loss, there are just a group of the fan base that are just sick in the mind, and they're just instantly like, Goff, get him out of here. We'll never win. But it's realistically, it's he's probably the last of our issues. And with your and that's what I responded to today with that, Jeff. I was like, if you're gonna blame Goff for this, you are just like right now our front office, that you refuse to actually address the real issues in this organization right now when it comes to the defensive line, the offensive line. You're blinded. You are so far blinded. And there are Lions fans out there that still blame Goff. By the way, fun fact: Jared Goff is on track to have a career high in touchdown passes, passing yards, and a career low in interceptions. It's a fun fact for all of you. And then people will be like, well, why are you losing still? Not on Jared Goff. Maybe it's on only rushing for 14 yards yesterday. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. And here's two things I want to address too. I have some comments I want to read because people were saying some things I definitely agree with and some things I don't agree with. Like Tyler. Shout out to Tyler, by the way. Appreciate you watching, bro. He said Jared Goff had 5 interceptions yesterday that were dropped. Let me address that real quick. So yeah, he did. He did have a couple that were almost interceptions. But this is why you don't want your quarterback to throw the ball 50 plus times a game. Because when you throw the ball more, you have a higher chance at making a mistake, A, and B, you're going to have bad throws, which led to a couple of those where he throws them in the dirt. It is what it is. He wasn't perfect. No one's arguing that. But the point is, you shouldn't have to have your quarterback throw the ball 50 times to try and win a football game. That, to me, is bad. You're playing from behind. You can't run the ball. And I think the important thing to take away is Jared had to do that, throw the ball 50-something times, and still gave you a chance. He still gave you a chance. And I think that, honestly, this is For Jared, the narrative around him is what, Booner? Give him a run game, give him protection, right? And just like any quarterback, it's going to help Jared Goff, right? He hasn't had either consistently, right? Like he hasn't had a run game consistently at all, and then he hasn't had an offensive line all year. And you just mentioned all the stats. He's on track to have a career high. The conversation about Jared Goff, yeah, it's like he plays the most important position in football. To me, this year is not the year to have it. You can't have it this year. He's balling, and he had a coordinator change mid-year. Which, by the way, he was a Ben Johnson merchant, which no doubt having a good play caller helps. But he's had 2 different play callers this year, offensive line issues, and an inconsistent run game. And you lose his safety blanket tight end, and the guy is still on track for a career year. Yeah. The identity on offense, 2 words, Jared Goff, which is crazy. It's absolutely insane. It is. It just is. So that's not the position you want to be in as a team. Your offensive identity is Jared Goff, and your defensive identity is not available. That's literally what they are.
In fact, I almost just I asked Kory the question too, like offensively. The offensive line, I'm okay with an overhaul at the offensive line position.
You might need to change 4 out of 5.
Tate, well, no, I'm saying keep Tate. I think Tate's going to be fine. Tate and Panay, and then you just go like Taylor. I don't know about Taylor's just old. I don't know what he wants to do, but like the only way there's not a complete overhaul if Taylor stays. If Frank does come back, you just need to I think you just need to get a new left guard. But if Frank doesn't come back, you need to get a new center. You need a left guard, and you do need to figure out this left tackle position, with or without Taylor Decker. You do.
Dude, Mahogany yesterday, he was bad.
He was. And supposedly he was limping in that locker room after.
I mean, he's dealing with injury, but it's like, dude, I mean, yeah, the offensive line, I don't think any of those guys have proven anything but Panay and Tate, because Tate's a rookie, and Taylor Decker. So there's 3 guys, and Taylor's probably close to retiring. So if we're talking about just the future, you probably got to replace 3 of the 5. Like, I'm not sold on Mahogany. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to sit here and say that guy's your future at guard. We don't know. We haven't had a big enough sample size, and he hasn't been overwhelmingly good to be like, yeah, that guy's the future. No. We still have Miles Frazier. We don't know if he's good or not. So yeah, no, I mean, I want to check you right now. What were the grades yesterday? So let me see. Pass blocking, Tate had the highest pass blocking grade at 79.5. Kingsley was up there.
Kingsley, Dan even said he felt like Kingsley for first career start felt like he actually, and a lot of people too were like, they're doing center back committee. It looked like it was only for like actually a couple plays. It looked like Kingsley only sat out like 3 or 4 plays. So he must have like maybe had some sort of small tweak or something.
And I'll tell you what, Christian Mahogany, we talked about, I mean, the starters on the O-line, their run blocking grades were terrible. But let's just look at pass blocking. Everyone was around the 70s on the O-line. Like 79 was the highest with Tate. Everyone else is around 70. The only others lower were Taylor Decker. He had a 60.1 pass blocking grade. Miles Frazier, who played 4 snaps. I think he played 4 snaps. So he just came in for a couple snaps. He had 43.9. Guess who was the lowest, who played pretty much every snap? Christian Mahogany. He had a 33.1. Guy couldn't block you, Boone. I mean, he couldn't block you. I mean, this guy out there was lost. And I mean, so yeah, it's bad. And again, for a guy who's not mobile in golf, he had to deal with that shit all night. You know, like that guy's just giving up. I mean, he's basically just, it's like, it's early Christmas. He's like, you want a sack? Come and get one.
The guy on the other side's like, dude, I need one for a contract this offseason.
He's giving guys bonuses. I mean, this guy's giving guys bonuses.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, that's such a tough look.
Dude. Oh, gosh. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think that's realistic, man. I think Brad Holmes, by the way, tell me if you agree with this. This draft is the biggest, most important draft since his first year in Detroit.
Oh, not a question.
Not
a question.
Under pressure draft since his first year, because you got to hit on those first year picks. I mean, by far
Dude, I think people are right too. Like you had those first 2 drafts and they were incredible. Like you got starters instantly. And you know the excuse of, well, I hated this excuse, by the way, before the draft. People were like, well, I mean, you it's harder to draft because you already have starters filled in. Like you already have players that are locked in at start. What? Like that doesn't mean anything. Draft players to take those guys' spots. Like it means that, like, and you know how much we heard that going into the last year's draft and after last year's draft was, well, there's only a couple spots available, on this team for starting spot. What if a guy gets hurt? You better have that next guy ready to go. You drafted Sione Vaki, safety/running back. He hasn't touched a safety spot. When was the last safety you drafted that's done something besides Brian Branch and Kirby? You've had Thomas Harper, who was a undrafted free agent or a UDF or just a practice squad guy that you're playing. Like it's insane.
He's been the best safety.
Like you're starting guards outside of Tate Ratledge, like Christian Mahogany, like that's your guy. He was drafted in the 6th round. How are you replacing? And he's not even good. He's just a fan favorite.
It's the beer keg, Sally.
Yeah, it sold everyone. Sold me. I've been a Mahogany guy for a while now, but he hasn't drafted like those level guys that he did the first 2 years. People lean back. They'll be like I think we're past the point. Quite frank, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm quite transparent. Lions fans, can we have this? Is a let's have a heart to heart. Can we have a heart to heart finally for the first time about Brad Holmes in the draft? Want to have a heart to heart, Jeff?
Let's do it. Heart to heart.
Let's not. We no longer can lean back on the Amon-Ra and the Kirby Joseph picks. No longer. Like those 3rd, 4th, 5th round guys where it's like, oh my gosh, you swung and you hit, man. You had a home run. It's so cool. It's over. That was too long ago. It happened, yeah. So kudos, credit, sick. You paid them. Now you need to get guys in there that can play just as good on rookie deals. Sorry.
It's
because it was cool in the moment, and everyone's like, Brad's to go for it, and people act like he was the only GM in the NFL that's ever done that. No, Howie Roseman does it. Les Snead does it. We can keep going. Like a million, all of the great GMs do it. All of the great GMs every year they draft guys that start right. The Chiefs constantly have rookies coming in the secondary and corners that come in. Boom, new contract. They do it. Lions fans, it's over. I'm not saying the season, but I'm saying talking about these guys and how great Brad did the first 2 years in the draft, it's done. Conversation's over. Are you going to lean on that forever? We need him to keep drafting like that. He hasn't done it in 3 years now. It's time. Go get your next Kirby. Go find those level of players again.
Is it does it give you vibes of high school star athlete that blew his knee? And now, it's at a YMCA, and he's talking about his high school days. Isn't that kind of feel like
almost? But the crazy part is, it's like people in the media, people who cover the team, are like, Brad can do no wrong because look, he got Kirby in the fit. Okay, 3 years ago, he's already on his new deal. He hasn't found anyone like that in 3 years. He hasn't. And now you're in a spot, you paid all these guys, and you don't have depth. You don't. It's just them. And when they get hurt, oh, you didn't draft good enough. I love Brad. I think Brad's still a great GM in the NFL. He's built this team. But it's dude, you can't just be like, well, I did this 3 years ago. This was cool. I know, dude.
Like I said about
it's over.
It's what I said about Calvin Shepard, Boone. Update your resume. You got to update that resume, my friend. You can't live off past accomplishments forever. You can get credit, certainly. But you know what this league is? It's what have you done for me lately? You've seen GMs and I'm not insinuating that I want this, but I'm just saying in the NFL, we've seen GMs and head coaches both have success, whatever you define that as, and then get fired 3 years later, 4 years later. This league is what have you done for me lately? That's how the NFL is. Yep. So for Brad Holmes, as much as, he nailed those drafts in the beginning, what have you done for the Lions lately? And you look at those last 2 draft classes, yikes. It's bad. I mean, remember you brought it up on the show. How many guys contribute? Maybe 2, 3 in like a capacity that's not like Tate. Okay, Tate
out of like 13 or out of like 15 or something.
Yeah, that's yikes. You know what I'm saying? Not that you have to hit on every fifth.
You've taken swings, Gio.
Yeah, but that's another
Colby. But you just keep swinging and missing. You're like, we'll develop. Yeah,
that's another problem. And I think, I said this also, and it's just true in the NFL, man. That's what the teams that can do that can hit on third, fourth, fifth rounders consistently, or maybe not consistently. It's not probably realistic, but more consistent than others. That's what separates the great from the good. If you can find those inexpensive, overachieving players like the Rams do, like the Chiefs do, the Eagles do, that's what you're able to do. If you can get guys in the, like you did with Kirby. Kirby was but now you're paying Kirby. But at the time, you're paying Kirby pennies, and he's getting 4 picks, 5 picks a year, and Amon-Ra is the number 1 wide receiver. He's making pennies. Like that's when we talk about a window. You got guys that are playing at all pro levels, and you're paying them nothing. And now they're going to start kicking in contract-wise, and you're going to have to start making some tough decisions. And you're not going to have all these players unless you go find a Brian Branch in the draft. And by the way, it's tough. I mean, blew his Achilles out. That's a tough comeback, but I hope the best for him. But Sam Laporta, these guys that are going to probably be on their way out, time's running out, my friends, to have these guys on your roster. So Brad's got a big retooling offseason and a lot of pressure under him, a lot of pressure. So if you can get snaps and production out of rookies or second-year guys, whatever, then boom, there's the difference. It's a big, big difference. SW Lion, Jeff Booner, was MCDC looking through rose-colored glasses on Kingsley performance, or did he show something out there? Listen, Kingsley, to me, watching the game, I got to give him credit, man. He came in there with never having a start. I mean, was it a downgrade? Of course, but I thought Kingsley battled out there just from the eye test. So yeah, I'll give Kingsley a lot of credit. I mean, he's not I think he's an undrafted guy. So yeah, I'm not going to, the offensive line as a whole was bad. You saw the Mahogany grades. I mean, Mahogany was bad. Kingsley technically, in terms of just the penalties and allowing pressure, he was technically better than Mahogany out there. 1 game sample size, but yeah, I would say I'm happy with him. By the way, we're going to get to our super chats. We have our segment right now where we're going through mailbag. We're going to go through super chats first. So if you want your question answered, top of the order, it takes I think you throw $2 and you get your questions answered no matter what it is. And then we'll go to the chat afterwards. And we'll start with some of these questions. We'll start off first. Vision Stealth 7827. Appreciate the 5. He said, do you think Dan
Here we go.
At DC? We've never been a top 5 with the scheme we want to run, or one player has too many snaps. Do we believe he makes a change? Not do we want him to. Do we believe it? I don't know.
I say yes.
Do you think so?
Yeah. I just think, like, if you look around the league, I mean, it's like the Nick Sirianni thing, dude. I think that's such a perfect example. At least with them, they made the playoffs, but they've been bad, man. There was regression. If they were just like if they were plateaued and leveled off, I would say they would probably give. I do understand, like Dan, like you said, like Caleb said yesterday, it feels like they run this thing like a family business where it's hard to like cut ties with guys. I do think there has to be a little bit of frustration within Dan. You don't like to hear people talk about, not even just that, but you have to have some sort of pride going from 15-2 and going to the NFC Championship game. You would think Dan, knowing who type of guy Dan is, he has pride. And he wants to put a product on. He's fired guys before, mid-season. He took John Morton's job away this year. John Morton was a good friend of his, and he took his job away. So, I don't see why he wouldn't move on. I think he will.
I'll say no, but I hope he proves me wrong. I hope Dan just nuts up. And now, again, like you said, he's made changes, tough changes before. But hopefully he doesn't die on that Calvin Shepherd hill. Don't do it, Dan. Don't do it. Greg Thomas, appreciate the 5s. His 55 years of misery. You young fans in for one hell of a ride. Okay, Greg. Hey, appreciate that, man. Greg.
Shout out, Greg, dude.
Vision Stealth, appreciate the 5. I just hope Brandon Dad can make the difficult choices, staff and player wise. Well,
listen,
you're gonna have
Jeff,
to. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think it's just one of those times now. You go through a season like this, I think it changes a lot of perspective. Everything was all sunshine and butterflies for a couple of years. You have a bad year, man. Changes perspective, and I hope it changes Dan's and Brad's perspective a little bit.
I really do. I hope so too. Hopefully, it's a wake-up call. Visionary Roar, appreciate the $2. His Shep has lacked in pointing out his flaws. That's translated to lack of accountability.
He doesn't like to admit when he's wrong. He's like me. Me and him have a lot of similarities.
You know what though? You know what I noticed from that? You learn a lot from your mentors. He's got a little bit of Aaron Glenn in him, but at least Aaron Glenn.
I thought the same thing. You know what I thought? Go ahead.
At least Aaron Glenn had a better product at times, but with less talent, of course. But Aaron Glenn got a lot of credit. You never saw Aaron Glenn take a lot of accountability.
Jeff, you know what I thought today? This is going to sound really funny. I had a thought in my mind. I was like, I wanted to know, like, you know how like some of these coaches do media training, or not training, but like they obviously have conversations. I'm sure Dan does, but like a coordinator's like, don't do this, do this. I had a thought today when I was working where I was like, I want to know, like, Aaron Glenn and Shep sitting in a room, like AG going to Shep, like talking to Shep about media and be like, hey, man, like when you go to the media, hey, don't ever admit you're wrong. Like, don't ever give the media the edge. Like I had that thought earlier today. Like what was AG? Because you see with AG like in New York too. Like sometimes like AG goes viral in New York because he says like or does like the craziest things. We're like, what?
Yeah.
Now Shep's kind of doing the same, and that's like, you know, he was learning under him. So I would have loved to know like what was AG teaching him.
Sure, he has an influence. That's just how it is, man. Let's see. Matt, appreciate the $2. Says, when's the first mock draft stream? Oh, that's yeah. Well,
it's crazy. In years past, it wasn't until February.
Yeah. Well, see how that is. Probably will be after the Super Bowl, but we'll see if our mental health just falls apart. But yeah, usually we'll do mock draft Mondays. That's always a good time. I mean, even though we usually do it after a playoff. Well, we did it 2 years ago after a playoff run, so that was a lot of fun. But now it's going to be a very different approach, but we'll see. I think we have elite draft coverage. So if you guys are new to subscribe, you guys are new viewers, the draft is going to be a good time here. Our draft.
I mean, I think we're the only ones that in Michigan who we do it all. Like mock drafts, we go to the combine, cover the NFL draft live.
We have
like
great guests on,
straight to
scouts.
Great guest, yeah.
So we'll it's always a good time here. Visionary Roar says can't control time of possession. Well, that comes down to running the ball and stopping the run. So that's what that comes down to. Visionary Roar also donated $2. Says Dan is a Nike sponsor. Just do it.
What if he did get paid like a check for that? That'd be funny.
Vision
at some point this year, he had to slip that in and like throw that.
Let's see. If you don't want a new DC, you need a new brain and Lions card revoked. That's aggressive. Visionary Roar says it's called having low IQ. I think he was referring to something we said earlier. Casey Buckner, appreciate the $2. Brad hits layups for a year. Yay. Hit layups for a year. Yay. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry to say, Jeff, and then today was the first. You know, I've been a Brad guy, like a truther. I've stuck up for Brad Holmes for so long. Today was the first day where you look back and you go like, are we gonna just? I don't know, like. I don't even know, like just smell flowers about his first two drafts for the rest of our lives. You know, like, are we just gonna like lean on
chair, just being like smoking a cigar?
Man, 10 years ago, that draft, dude.
You remember when the Lions got Kirby Joseph in the third round?
Or the third, yeah, like Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra in the fourth round. Yeah.
At some point, it's what's it called, like in the court of law, when there's like some sort of like you break the law, but a couple years go by and you can't get in trouble for it. What is that called?
It's called, let me see, I'll tell you right now. It's there's like the 5-year period. It's like expungement maybe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations.
I think in the NFL
stuff gets
for drive classes, I think it's a 3-year statute of limitations. Like you can accelerate it for 3 years because then after the third year, you have to give an extension, essentially. You can have the opportunity, I think statute of limitations up. I think it's up. We need a new draft class. We need a new elite draft class. You can't go. And by the way, you can't go every 2 years or every 3 years. You get a good draft class. You'll never win a Super Bowl. Maybe every other year you can win a Super Bowl doing that, but every 3 years, come on, man. Has he drafted a Pro Bowler in 2 years? In his first 2 drafts, he got instant Pro Bowlers like back to back. Like he has not drafted a Pro Bowler in 2 years.
Nope.
After just 2 elite ones, not drafted. That takes a hit on your roster, especially when he goes to the media. I was thinking about this on my drive home, Jeff, too. Especially when he goes to the media and he's like, when they're asking about bringing in free agency, bringing guys in, and like Brad's like excuses is always, well, man, it's hard when you got to pay guys. You don't have to. Don't have to. You can draft good, and then you don't have to pay guys.
It's like Rondé. He drafted Gibbs, the same Brown, Laporta. Relax. Most GMs don't hit on that many. So hyperbolic. No.
GMs, like great GMs, they do like every other year. Brad hasn't in 2 years.
Yeah, it's like both can be true. He had a great that draft class with Brian, Sam, Jack, and Jameer was incredible.
So good.
But we can't keep living off that. We have to at least, and I'm not saying he's got to do that every year, but the last 2 years, dude, you haven't drafted a Pro Bowler like Booner just brought up. I'm not asking for Pro Bowlers in every round, but can we just hit on one?
Especially at positions like you draft 2 corners in the first and second round 2 years ago, not one.
I think Tate could be a hit. There's 2 out of like 13. Taron Arnold, okay, that's 3. Christian, like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, guys. You get the point. No one's saying you got to draft all pro top guys at their position right away, but you got to hit on more draft picks. There's not even a question there. Let's see. Mailbag, top 3 biggest needs this offseason.
Do you want to go order 1, 2, 3?
Yeah.
Number 1, offensive line. Number 2,
question.
Edge rusher. And then this one's going to be a weird one, but number 3, safety.
No, not a weird one.
We have Branch and Kirby, but I think safety is.
No, I agree with you.
Because you need depth, and then if Branch is still going to be hurt.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. By the way, Xavier, appreciate the membership for 18 months. You guys can't grow hair on your cheeks. It's fun. I got a little bit on there.
Well, I shave. Like I do have lots of hair on my cheeks. I shave every day.
Yeah.
I actually got hair that goes like.
I want to have one of those high ones.
Well, no, dude, I got hair up here that I'm like, why is it growing up here?
It's a little patchy right now. We're working at it.
It grows so high up for me.
We're working. We're putting things together, Xavier. We're forming a roster. I'm doing the Brad Holmes here. I draft. It's like I got this all.
It's gonna take you 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I gotta get the rest of the roster filled out. Nick P, could the Lions put together a package to get Jeffrey Simmons to Detroit? I don't think they want to trade Jeffrey Simmons. Honestly.
Did you see? By the way, did you see the DJ Reader stuff last night?
Yes.
That was insane. DJ Reader. I'm a big DJ Reader fan. That was nuts. He's not coming back.
He's just arguing with random Twitter users. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, like, do you see why I think that there's something deeper in that locker room right now? You have so many Lions players constantly out on social media. At Kirby the one time deleting his social. Kirby just, it's weird. There's just a lot of weird drama that's going on this year.
Look at this. Let's pull it up.
He was in a battle, man.
Among Us St. Brown, shout out. He tweeted out, DJ Reader, I love you. I love that you're a great human, but man, you've been rough out there. And he tweeted, a SMD main, please leave me alone. He told the man to suck his after that. And he started going at it with people on his he said, Walter paid man of the year. Nah, free agent next year. Yup. He said, all good. I'll be getting bread somewhere. Okay. And then said, Brett's all a cool dog, but if you're telling a disgruntled fan to suck your you-know-what, as a Walter Payton Man of the Year club winner, dog, grow up. You know what? You haven't been good this year, and you're surprised people are upset. Good luck, man. You can do the same. Yeah, this guy's just going. I mean, went at it with a bunch of people.
If you go to DJ Reader's thing and then just go to his replies, there's so many, like his profile.
Yeah, look at it on here.
Yeah, and he hit the hearts to.
Yeah. I mean, he was just, he at least had some people supporting him. I mean, he said, I didn't even see you telling him to suck it, dude. What are you doing, dude? Not searching, man. I got tagged, but just know I know way more about what's going on than y'all. So you're right. Y'all got it.
That's why I think, listen, that's another tweet that kind of proves.
DJ?
That's what I'm saying. That kind of proves there's something on the back end inside the locker room in the rooms. There's something happening and no one knows. I think this might be one of those things where we look back in like 10 years and some of the players are like on like radio or on podcasts and they're like, hey man, in 2025, the stuff that was happening in the locker room and behind the scenes was. That's why I think Dan, I think there's going to be an overload this offseason. That's a prediction. That's like a Booner prediction, bold prediction. I think there's going to be a massive player-wise, maybe not as big because you already signed a lot of guys, but I think a lot of like role players, and also I think a lot of coaches on the coaching staff. I think there's an overhaul, Jeff. That's a hot take. There's something happening in that locker room.
It might be. I know. What does he mean by that? Is he talking about like from a schematic standpoint, like where they're going wrong, or is he talking about like I know way more than you guys?
There's something going on. He knows more. What do you know more?
I don't know.
There's something happening.
There's something going on.
I don't think Dan lost the locker room. I think it's like Dan's Dan, man. You don't want to play hard for Dan.
Jason Flack, appreciate the $2. He says, I think we really miss. I think he means Terrell Williams. By the way, that's another thing people are mentioning, like the whole Casey Rogers thing.
Casey's so good too.
Let me see. Actually, let me check something.
Casey in Tampa, man. They said, remember when you signed him? They said that Casey was one of the best in the league.
Hold on. Let me say. Oh no, Casey Rogers is the defensive line coach and the run game coordinator. He's the run game coordinator. Oh no!
Who's the run game coordinator for offense? Does it show? Probably Hank Fraley.
Let me see. I think it's Hank Fraley. Yeah.
It's tough to look for the big fellas, man. It's a tough day for the big fellas today.
So you're talking about?
Hey man, hold on, Jeff, hold on. Give me a sec for the big fellas. For the big fellas, man.
I'm sick.
Oh no, man. The big fellas in the run game, dude.
I'm absolutely sick, man. I know. Casey Rogers, run game coordinator, man. That's tough. Because I will say, AQM's been pretty solid. Really solid. So he's developed him, I guess. But
high league.
Yeah, that's
it's for the big fellas, man. Hank and I don't even know a name here. Casey Rogers.
Yeah, that is I can't believe the run game coordinator. That's a wild. I just realized that. I don't know why I didn't think about that before.
That's tough. Both sides of the ball too, man.
Yeah, that's really
it's a tough look.
Yeah, that's really brutal. Let's see. Oh, what about this one? SW Lion mailbag. If Shep were the Bears DC, what would their record be today?
Oh
man. $1 million question, huh? I mean, who knows? I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be as good. They wouldn't be as good. They're overachieving. People don't understand.
Dennis Allen, dude.
They're overachieving. That's coaching. Like the Bears defense, they have some good players on defense, but they're not as good. They're overperforming because their coaching staff is getting everything out of that roster. They're getting takeaways. They're finding ways to win They're finding ways to win ball games. And if Shep was the DC, do I have confidence that a first-year DC would do the same thing? No, I don't. I think that to walk into that job and after the Eberflus stench was all over the place, I think it takes a guy who's been in DC for a while. And Dennis Allen is able to do that. I don't know if Calvin would have walked into that situation and had the same results.
No, I don't think I'm right there.
No, I don't know. I know for a fact he would not have the same results. Chin says, would any team trade for JG? If so, come on, guys. What?
The Jared Goff stuff is so insane to me. I'm sorry. I cannot wrap my head around it.
You're going to gift the Colts a franchise quarterback. What do we do?
Dude, if Jared Goff went to the Colts with the team, like with Daniel Jones almost had him where they had him, with Jared Goff, come on.
Guys.
You know what they would do? The Colts would love that. That'd be... And then we end up with Daniel Jones.
There's a realistic scenario where everybody on the roster gets hurt except for Jared, and they lose 100-0. And the first comment would be, "Man, you see that guy Jared Goff, man, trade his ass."
So do you understand? And you know what, Jeff? I think you're coming around to it. Like the last couple of years, when I was in a battle, me and Stick, honestly, and obviously I know Stick like is really big on Goff, but me and him have always been like lockstep with like Goff is not this bad. Like people are like, I feel like a little bit maybe in the past you were on the other side of it. You have come around to it. Like just open your eyes a little bit.
I'm sick of the
plays good.
I'm sick where I'm at. My position on Goff and what he is has never changed, right? Like if you're going to tell me you're going to trade Goff, it better be for some elite quarterback.
Oh, like another top 5.
I think where I've really gotten frustrated is the disrespect when it's not even warranted. Like, I think if you're in a position where you have a stacked roster and Jared's holding them back and you keep making it to the NFC Championship game and you can't get over the top, no doubt. Then you have to have a real conversation.
Yeah.
But right now where the Lions are, you can't point at – I mean, dude, Goff, and he makes a lot of money. I get – and by the way, that's where it sucks even more with this whole Brad Holmes stuff because you should capitalize while the guy's making less money. He's only going to make more. But you can't look at Goff and say that dude's the issue. I mean, you got to be high as a kite. It's like what Stephen A. Smith said, stay off the weed, man. I mean,
stay off the weed.
If you think Jared Goff is the problem. Visionary Roar, appreciate the $2. He says, which DC would y'all hire this upcoming season? That's tough.
You got to see the cycle.
I want to give it credit. I think it's Xavier D who brought this up in the chat. I just don't know. I don't know if they would do that. I don't know if it's possible given, I don't know if his contract's up or whatever. Give me Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, I would love that.
Like, imagine, just hypothetical, because people don't like my suggestion, but let's just say my suggestion ends up being the real case. Imagine you go into next year with Brian Daboll and Jim Schwartz. Are we not feeling a lot better about your staff?
You would think you're winning a Super Bowl.
Like, you feel a lot better about your staff if you got two guys like that. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. Maybe you want a different OC, but what do you?
Can we play a coordinator game real quick? Can we play this? Can I do this? I'm going to go through NFL head coaches currently in the NFL. Let's do this. Let's go through all 32 or 31 outside the Lions. If they get fired, yes or no, and if there would be someone for your OC DC candidacy. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Jonathan Gannon, Arizona Cardinals, currently 3-12.
That would be a great hire on defense.
Okay, so we're in a
great coordinator.
So we would be on Jonathan. Raheem Morris, Falcons 6-9 currently.
That's another good coordinator.
Would he get fired this offseason?
He could. He's really good as a DC, not a head coach, but I wouldn't mind Raheem Morris. He was great with the Rams.
Okay, John Harbaugh. He wouldn't be a coordinator. Would he if he got fired?
No, he ain't being a coordinator.
Sean McDermott's going to keep his job. Dave Canales will keep his job. Ben Johnson will. What about Zach Taylor?
I'm open to Zach Taylor. I mean, I think he was with Jared Goff at one point.
Oh, he might have been actually in LA. Yeah. Stefanski's probably going to keep his job, you would think. Schottenheimer. Maybe Stefanski won't. But if Stefanski doesn't keep his job, I don't know if I would want Stefanski. Sean Payton's keeping his. Dan, Matt, LaFleur, D'Amico Ryans is good. Shane Steichen's good. Liam Cohen's good. Andy Reid, Pete Carroll, Jim Harbaugh, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniel. 6-9 currently with the Dolphins. Most likely, I would say he gets fired.
Yeah, I'm a little iffy on him. I don't know.
I would take him. I think as an OC, I think offensive coordinator wise, he's a good OC. I think he's just falls into that category.
We've only seen him be an OC with the Dolphins because he was with the 49ers and Shanahan was the OC. So he's never in with that Miami Dolphins. They had 1 year where they were a great offense, but this year, like, Tua's been ass. They just haven't been ass all. I guess it's more than that than just Michael.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know if I love them. Like, honestly, if you were talking to the DCs you mentioned, Jonathan Gannon's number one, no question. You'd be the highest.
Is there anyone? What about? Hold on, let's see. Kyle Shanahan's good. Mike McDonald is good. Todd Bowles.
That dude can coach defense. Yeah.
Would you take Todd Bowles if he gets fired?
No doubt. Yeah. Todd Bowles. Are you kidding me? Todd Bowles. Yeah.
And then there's Dan Quinn, but I think Dan Quinn's good. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah, he's good. He'll be there.
Those are the head coaches potentially. I would think just kind of.
Yeah, those are all. But again, you see a common theme: proven guys.
Yeah.
Proven. Like Jonathan Gannon, we know, like, he's as a defensive guy. Arizona doesn't have the greatest talent, but we know as a head coach, maybe it's not. Well, it's not. Maybe I wouldn't hire him as head coach, but as a DC, I'll take him. Raheem Morris, I'm okay with it. I'd still put Jonathan Gannon over him. Jim Schwartz, obviously one of the best coordinators in the game. Defensive.
Is there any? Like at that point, you look at it and you're like, who else? If you want an experienced guy, like who else?
It might be one of those things where you look at guys that are getting fired, and maybe like that the reason why Jim Schwartz could work is maybe Kevin Stefanski gets fired, and then his staff is like relieved of their duties or something. Like it's like a free for all. Like they're all gone. Like usually they just fire the whole staff.
Imagine if you just went Dennis Allen this last offseason.
Well, yeah, then you wouldn't be in this position, probably. You think Dennis Allen would straight up, if he had a choice, he would have picked the Lions, correct?
You would think, yeah.
I'm just asking. I'm just curious.
You would think after 15-2 with the defense that they returning, for sure.
Yep. That's a fact.
That's why I think it's frustrating a little bit.
Yep.
Robert Saleh could have made an offer there. I don't know if he would have because he went back to the 49ers.
Yeah,
but
maybe he was always going there. Who knows? But still.
Yeah.
He's from here, Dearborn.
But like if you looked at like last year with Dennis Allen to this year, like Dennis Allen would be the number one defensive coordinator option in this year.
Spags.
I think he would. Why would he be gone in Kansas City?
I don't know. I would
love that. Is that Brandon Katz, by the way?
Shut up, Brandon Katz, man.
Is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's Katz.
What a throwback.
Because this sounds kind of selfish. Hear my theory on this, though. I like hiring a DC that's already been a head coach and has failed. Because then you know they're never going to leave. Like Dennis Allen will never leave, bro. Yeah. He's going to be there forever. No one's going to hire that guy as a head coach.
Is Mike McCarthy a defensive guy?
Offensive guy. Big Mike McCarthy.
Get Mike McCarthy in here with Dan.
Yeah, offensive guy, quarterback guy.
Imagine him and Dan standing next to each other talking ball.
Yeah. Oh gosh, AG gets fired. Bring him back. They'll just we'll see. Hey, tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow we have 130 plus people in here. Like the video on the way out, and tomorrow we're live.
Chuck Pagano,
9 to 11 a.m. Chuck Pagano is out.
He's the secondaries coach for the Ravens right now.
Could interview him. That guy knows ball.
I'll take him. 9 a.m. tomorrow, though. We're at 9 a.m.
And guess what? We got the doc joining tomorrow morning. Morning show. We got the doc.
Morning doc. Oh, no.
Different type of doc, man. Different type of doc. We've had
that'll be entertaining.
I wonder if he's on like a different vibe in the morning. That's what we're going to find out.
He might be in Allen Park when we're talking to him, too, because Dan does speak at 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, that is true.
9 a.m.
We'll talk to the doc tomorrow. So be there 9 a.m. Until then,
love you guys.
Peace.